From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Good Friday morning. It's 5:30. Welcome to Montana This Morning on Victoria Hill. Thanks for starting your day with us.
Man, I'm Ed McIntosh. Here we go into the first full weekend of October, and we've got pretty warm temperatures to go along with it. Let's start off with the first interstate ICAM. There's some cool readings for the mornings. It's been pretty typical, but this morning at 51 in Billings, that's a pretty mild start with a southwest wind. Yesterday, it was 10 degrees cooler in the morning. We were down to 41 for an overnight low and 69 for a high, 4 degrees above the seasonal average. So we were right in the pocket there yesterday based on what we'd expect for the first day of October. Now we're looking at temperatures into the 40s and 50s across much of the region. Look at those 30s in the mix as well, though. Glendive at 34, one of the cooler readings this morning. 35 in Jordan, 38 in Miles City and Sheridan. The last couple of checks there. Livingston's been holding at 42 and now 46 being reported from Cody. Across southern Montana and northern Wyoming, we've generally got a clear sky and light winds. There's a little breeze coming down the east mountain slopes, but temperatures are into the 40s and 50s at most reporting stations here this morning. Forsyth and Hardin both reporting 39 a couple of minutes ago. Now we're seeing temperatures edging up into the low 70s today, so a little warmer than yesterday, but more changes are on the way. We'll talk about that with the weekend forecast coming up.
All right, sounds like a plan, and in the meantime, I'll get on to the news. Thanks,
Okay,
Ed.
thanks.
We begin with breaking news this morning. President Donald Trump and the First Lady have tested positive for COVID-19. The president made the announcement on Twitter just before midnight. CBS's Natalie Brand brings us the very latest.
In a tweet just before 1 a.m. Eastern Time, President Trump announced both he and First Lady Melania Trump have tested positive for COVID-19. The president wrote, "We will begin our quarantine and recovery process immediately. We will get through this together."
So I just went for a test, and we'll see what happens. I mean, who knows?
This stunning development came hours after President Trump confirmed to Fox News that one of his closest aides, Hope Hicks, had tested positive for the coronavirus.
She tested positive. Then I just went out with a test. I'll see what, because we spent a lot of time, and the First Lady just went out with a test also. So whether we quarantine or whether we have it, I don't know.
White House physician Sean Conley released a statement saying the president and First Lady were both doing well, adding, quote, "Rest assured, I expect the president to continue carrying out his duties without disruption while recovering." The White House has canceled all of the president's public events for today. He has kept on his schedule a phone call on COVID-19 support for vulnerable seniors. Hicks had traveled to several events with President Trump this week, including the debate on Tuesday and to his rally in Minnesota on Wednesday. President Trump attended a fundraiser in New Jersey on Thursday, reportedly spending time in close contact with a number of his supporters. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
President Trump is 74 years old. According to the CDC, his age puts him at a higher risk of developing a severe COVID-19 related illness. First Lady Melania Trump is 50 years old. News of the first couple contracting the coronavirus sent the stock market futures tumbling. Dow futures fell more than 400 points this morning, and NASDAQ and S&P 500 futures also dropped around 2%. Stock futures started dropping yesterday when the positive test for Hope Hicks was announced. As of right now, the next presidential debate set for later this month in Miami is still scheduled to take place. However, there's new controversy over the ground rules. President Trump's campaign is accusing the nonpartisan Commission on Presidential Debates of favoring Joe Biden. They are warning it not to make any changes to the debates, such as a mute button to keep the candidates from interrupting. This week's debate was marked by dozens of interruptions by both candidates. Also making headlines this morning, a $2 trillion COVID-19 relief package passed the U.S. House last night, but it's unlikely to become law. The stimulus bill passed with zero Republican support. But talks between House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin continue. Lawmakers are under pressure to agree on a plan before Election Day, but time is running out. Yesterday, Mnuchin pitched a package that included about $6 billion less than the Democrat plan. Pelosi said the number was too low and she wants more money for state and local governments and unemployment insurance. In other news, the president's top energy official will visit Colstrip today. U.S. Energy Secretary Dan Brouillette was invited by Senator Steve Daines. The two men will tour the power plant, and Brouillette says he hopes to learn more about how it will incorporate some of the latest coal technology. He says the future of coal is bright and is backed by the president and the administration.
His energy strategy can be summed up in just a few words, and that is all of the above. And those words to the president mean exactly what they are, all of the above. We're going to produce all forms of energy here in America for a number of different reasons. One, because we're blessed with a number of resources, just an enormous amount of resources here. Coal being, important to the West, important to Montana. So we're going to use that. We're going to develop that. That provides us with energy security as well as national security.
And we will have a full report on the Energy Secretary's visit to Colstrip on tonight's 5:30 news. Yesterday, Senator Steve Daines met with President Trump's Supreme Court nominee, Judge Amy Coney Barrett. Daines called her a brilliant jurist. He said they talked about the Second Amendment and what it means to Montana, along with protecting coal and energy jobs. Daines says he fully supports Barrett becoming the next Supreme Court justice. In campaign news, Montana's Democrat candidate for the U.S. House made a stop in Billings last night. Kathleen Williams is back to meeting voters in person as part of a 2,000-mile trip through Montana. After stops in Livingston, Red Lodge, and Lewistown on Thursday, Williams spoke to Billings residents about protecting natural resources, which is a theme of her 6-day Solutions Tour.
We're calling it the Solutions Tour because I'm running to cut through the hyperpartisanship and bring back results for Montana. I'm an experienced policymaker. I know how to work with people of all political stripes, and I'm committed to doing it, and I have a history of doing it. I'm ready to help Montana get out of these dual crises that we have, both public health and economic. Fixing our healthcare system, fostering opportunity, both economic and personal, and protecting our outdoor heritage. That's public lands and clean air and water and more. So every time I talk to Montanans, healthcare is the big one. And I've worked on those issues in the legislature, passed bills that are saving lives and reducing costs and increasing access, and I'm ready to hit the ground running on those.
Today, Williams will visit Forsyth, Miles City, Glendive, and Sydney. And a reminder, early voting starts today. The Yellowstone County Elections Office will set up shop at Metro Park today through Election Day. That means registering to vote and picking up absentee ballots can only be done at the Montana Pavilion and not at the courthouse. The early move to Metro Park was made to ensure election officials and voters would have enough space to socially distance. Ballots can still be dropped off at the courthouse, just not picked up, and mail ballots will be sent out a week from today. Election Day 2020 is 32 days away, but across the U.S., there are already concerns about voting and claims that actions are being taken to prevent some people from participating in the process. CNN's John Lawrence explains.
With Election Day nearing, there are fears that some voters are facing obstacles.
We need to show everybody who's watching that we're going to participate because it's about democracy.
That includes Texas, where the governor announced ballot drop-off sites will be limited to one per county. This move significantly affects Harris County, the most populous county in Texas with a population of 4.7 million residents, more than the populations in 26 states.
There is no reason for this decision to limit us to one drop-off location other than voter suppression.
Similar concerns about voter intimidation in Massachusetts.
We're not going to let Donald Trump undermine our election. It's a crime.
The Trump administration is calling on supporters to patrol polling places on Election Day.
Go into the polls and watch very carefully.
We need every able-bodied man, woman to join Army for Trump's election security operation.
Those comments prompting 11 Democratic governors to issue a statement condemning the president's message, saying there is absolutely no excuse for promoting the intimidation or harassment of voters.
This issue of voter suppression is it's not only sad, it's dangerous. It's dangerous because democracy depends on our participation.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
35 states are requesting or requiring voters to have some form of ID for the 2020 election. And now in campus news, some Montana State University employees have been warned they have 9 months to leave their homes to make way for more student housing. 78 staff members received emails stating their housing contracts would be terminated in June of next year. University officials say where those employees lived was always meant to be for students. But now some of those staff members fear they won't be able to afford another place to live in Bozeman. MSU leaders said, "We understand this is a challenge, but we also understand we have students who need housing." In other news, it was another record-breaking day for reported coronavirus cases in Montana. State health officials announced 429 new cases Thursday and 1 new death. Yellowstone County jumped by 93 cases, adding to the 4,000 across the state. A Bighorn County man in his 80s passed away yesterday. The death toll across Montana now stands at 184. Bighorn County has seen 24 deaths.